How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another review. Today we're going to be reviewing this 2010 Dodge Challenger RT Classic. Now, first off, I did want to say, if you have been a subscriber to my channel, you do know that I have actually already reviewed a 2010 Dodge Challenger RT, so I'm not going to really spend too much time on like the dimensions and the stock numbers or the body or whatever, but there's a lot of goodies underneath the hood of this car specifically, so this is the real reason why I wanted to review this car today. But I guess just giving a brief overview of the body, I really like the classic design, or like retro classic design, that Dodge went when they reintroduced the Challenger. I definitely like them a lot better compared to the modern Chargers. I just really don't like the whole like four-door design of like the new modern Chargers. They don't really capture, I guess, the classic spirit of those cars. But the Challengers, I feel like Dodge really hit it out of the park with the Challengers, in my opinion. And again, I do really like the kind of white contrast black setup that the owner does have going on with this car. And this exterior white paint was actually one of 14 different exterior paint options available for this specific year Challenger. And one little cosmetic, I guess, mod or upgrade that the owner did do in the back is he pretty much just painted this back low spoiler black. And I really do like the kind of like satin black accents just all around the car, including the black wheels in the back here, which we'll get to in a second, as well as like the black kind of vinyl stripe, or side stripe I should say, going along the side of the car. Now, that also being said, guys, these Challengers and Chargers do have a pretty bad reputation for being pretty heavy cars, and this specific year does have a curb weight just over 4,000 pounds, right at 4,041 pounds. And again, guys, I'm not going to go over all the different specs, so if you haven't already, I'll link up at the top of this video another review I did on a 2010 Challenger RT that was a lot more stock than this one, as you guys are going to see in a second. So now moving on to the wheels. In the back here, which is what I really want to talk about, is these 18x10 Bravado drag wheels, and they're actually wrapped in Mickey Thompson ET Street SS's. And these tires are 305 by 40s by 18s, and you can tell just by the tread that they're pretty much just street slicks, which is pretty awesome. And again, the owner definitely does need it to put the power down from this car. And in the front, it looks like just the kind of regular stock wheels, and these are the regular like chrome factory wheels that are 20 by 8s in the front, and they are wrapped in Nittos that are 255s by 45s by 20s. And underneath the wheels, you can see the brakes, and the owner actually did do a slight upgrade to the PowerStop Z23 rotors and pads, the carbon ceramic pads. And I actually kind of find that funny because those are actually the same exact brakes and pads that I have on my 2008 Mustang. And before actually moving on to the engine and the drivetrain, I did just want to show you guys the owner's Instagram handle. So if you want to see more content on this car specifically, go down and there's probably going to be a link in the description to his Instagram, or just follow him from that handle. Him as well as his brother have two 2010 Challenger RTs. So again, if you guys are into Mopars, definitely go shoot them a follow. All right, guys, so now we have the hood popped on this 2010 Challenger RT, and underneath the hood you can see the 5.7 liter 2-valve per cylinder V8 that does power this thing. But on top of it, you can see this Magnuson 2300 supercharger with a 3.2-inch pulley. And by the way, the stock power numbers for the regular, I guess, naturally aspirated 5.7 liter V8 found in the RTs from factory is basically right at 400 foot-pounds of torque at 4,400 RPMs and 372 horsepower at 5,200 RPMs. But this owner has done a lot of modifications, mechanical modifications to this car. So right off to start off, which was this is one thing that I was kind of surprising to me, but the owner actually did say that he put in a 392 cam for this year with all the associated valve train parts, such as the valve springs, push rods, etc. And pretty much he said it could fit because the blocks are almost identical, and any aftermarket cams for this year Challenger, if you go on like any website that sells, aftermarket cams or whatever, it'll say that it fits the SRT8, the 6.1, the 5.7. So I definitely found that pretty interesting. I actually didn't know that before I actually, got here today. Now, that being said, he also does have Stainless Works catted long tube headers that leads to a Flowmaster exhaust that actually came with the car. So he doesn't know what type of mufflers are on it, but it does sound really good. We were driving it a little bit before, you know, kind of parking it right now. And then over here you can also see a modified K&N intake that's pretty much modified to work with this supercharger. And going back to the supercharger, apparently according to the owner, it's right now it's making right around 8 pounds of boost, give or take. And the owner actually also does have a Arrington billet single fuel pump. And I guess moving on from the engine, the owner does also have BMR trailing arms and spoon sway bar end links. And the owner actually hasn't gotten it dynoed since the different pulley has been on, but he's probably, like, even lowballing it, he's probably expecting right around 500 wheel horsepower, give or take. He knows someone that he's friends with on Instagram or whatever that also has the same exact setup across the country, and they're making 550, 560 to the wheels. So anyways, guys, that power is actually delivered through the factory 6-speed transmission that comes with this car, the Tremec 6060. And again, it's pretty much common sense, but this car is rear-wheel drive. It does have a limited slip differential in the back, so you can definitely light up those Mickey Thompsons really easily. So now that being said, guys, I did also want to show you guys the interior of this car before kind of hopping in and taking it for a drive. So again, for the most part, pretty basic interior. There's this is one thing I can kind of rip on these challenges for, like the interior kind of sucks, but then again, at the same time, I'm someone who really does not care about the interior. But if you want to, I guess, know more about the interior, again, definitely be sure to check out that other review that I did on a 2010 Challenger RT. But that being said, guys, we're going to close the hood. I'm going to hop in it and we're going to take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, so now I'm driving this supercharged 2010 Dodge Challenger RT, and I don't know if you guys can hear it, but this thing definitely has a lot of supercharger whine. And at first I was a little bit, you know, questioning whether it was putting down like 500 to the wheels or 500 plus to the wheels, but let me tell you, this thing is definitely has a lot of power. Now obviously it is a Challenger, so it's still a boat. It still doesn't necessarily handle the best compared to other cars, but this thing is so much fun to just kind of like punch in a straight line. I was just doing a couple laps in the parking lot before we took this thing out, and yeah, it definitely throws you back in the seat. It's got a shit ton of torque. And even easing onto the throttle, like right now, going through some twisties, it handles good enough, let's put it that way. Like, there's definitely a decent amount of body roll, but it puts the power down to the wheels very, very well. With the Mickey Thompsons in the back, before recording, I kind of went full throttle in first and no spin whatsoever. So that is definitely a very, very impressive, especially considering the amount of torque that you get from this car, and you can definitely feel it too. It's very impressive. Even just kind of cruising along too, like not really punching it. It's very, very comfortable in here. Now that being said, I don't really like the steering wheel that these Challengers kind of came with, but again, I kind of talked about it before a little bit. Like the interior, it leaves a little bit to be considered, and I'm just, mind you, I'm being very nitpicky here. I'm just trying to find things negative to say about this car, but that is one kind of, I guess, flaw that I don't really like about this generation Challenger compared to the newer ones, because I did drive a 2018 Charger and of course the 2015 Charger Hellcat on the channel, and the 2018 Charger was actually a V6, but still the interiors of those two cars are a lot better, and I know they share the same interiors with the new gen Challengers as well. All right, guys, so now hopping onto the highway here. This thing just hooks. There's no hesitation whatsoever too. I mean, the throttle's very, very responsive. You hear the boost just fuck, oh my god. Yeah, I almost have to, I'm getting the same feeling that I'm getting from some of the other higher power cars that I've filmed on the channel, whereas once I'm on the throttle, I have to immediately go back on the brakes. This thing is definitely a lot of fun. Again, I know I ripped on it and I briefly mentioned it before that it's got a little bit more weight to it, but even with the added weight, this thing still does rip. And me personally, what I like about, like, I guess direct drive, or like, you know, drive superchargers, whatever you want to call them, compared to centrifugal superchargers or turbos, is that with the centrifugal superchargers and the turbos, you get a little bit of that lag, obviously more so with turbos, but with this, I mean, there's no hesitation whatsoever. Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy. Woo! Yeah, it definitely gets your blood pumping, jeez. I'm gonna take it easy for now on, because I've had enough you know, pulls in this thing. And yeah, this thing definitely does have a lot of power. And normally, again, you have those memes or whatever on Instagram where, you know, kids who don't know any better are saying like, oh, if a car doesn't have, you know, 700, 800,000 horsepower, it's slow. Yeah, 500 wheel horsepower in a Challenger, which again is a heavier, you know, vehicle, it's more than enough, and it's definitely puts a smile on your face. Maybe might burn a hole in your pocket over time having to fill this thing up every other day. But it's all about smiles per gallon, not miles per gallon, as I think the one that dude in blue says. That's like his catchphrase. But anyways, guys, that being said, that's pretty much just gonna wrap up today's video. It was a lot of fun to drive this thing. And again, definitely be sure to give the owner a follow on Instagram. Obviously, him as well as his brother do have two pretty cool Challenger RTs. And definitely go shoot them a follow, I guess, in support for them letting me drive this car today. Because again, this thing is a lot of fun to drive. But like always, guys, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.